Welcome to the Hibbing Economic Development Authority meeting. Today is August 19th, 2024. Let the record show that everyone is present except for President Sherry Mikich Brock. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Let's see, additions and deletions. There are none. Approval of the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda. Or
Motion made by Mayor Heda, supported by Member Schweiberger. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passed. Approval of the minutes. Approve the minutes of the special meeting of Hibbing Economic Development Authority for July 31st, 2024.
President, if I
Yes.
may, I just wanted to let you all know that the free copy is the corrected version of the minutes in your packet.
okay, the one that's or with it, all right.
Yeah.
The
Thank you.
separate
The extra one.
The
Yeah,
extra
very
one.
good.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay. Can I get a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
Support. Moved by Member Kivelis, supported by Member Egan. Vacant. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. In the consent agenda, affirm the Economic Development Loan Fund as of July 31st, 2024, in the amount of $1,386,711.93. Approve the disbursements for the month of July in the amount of $377,657.68. Set the next regular meeting for Heda for Monday, September 16th, 2024, at 5 p.m. in the Hibbing City Hall Council chambers. And set the Heda workshop working session for Monday, September 16th, 2024, following the regular meeting at the Hibbing City Hall Council chambers.
I'll make a motion to accept the consent agenda as read.
I'll support that.
Motion made by Mayor Heda, supported by Member Jennifer Hoffman-Sockman. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Presentations. Betsy, do you want to do these?
Yes.
All right, we're right ahead.
Vice President Durenas, members of the board, today we have our first presentation is from the IRRR staff here. We have business development. What's the title, Janelle?
Oh, Director of Business Recruitment.
There you go. Ms. Janelle Greshner is here to present, and then I believe Community Development Director Whitney Ridlon will be joining her at some point. And we also have research analyst Kiki here as well. So welcome.
Thank you. And again, I know you have a tight agenda. Like Betsy said, I'm Janelle Greshner. I'm the Director of Business Recruitment. And along with Whitney Ridlon, who is just coming from a meeting at Net Lake that ran a little bit long. She'll be here soon. And Kiki Stevenson, our new research analyst and also Hibbing native. We have been going out to communities and meeting with EDAs, and of course, Greg and Betsy are super familiar with our programs. I think you, even our new programs, you are familiar with, and we appreciate it. But as EDAs, you're the boots on the ground and most familiar with, you're the eyes and ears of the community, not only with businesses and what's going on. So just really want to get out as both a business and community development team. I know in the past we were kind of siloed a bit where me on the business team, we would just meet with businesses, and those on our community side would just, come to whether it was an EDA building or meeting or within the community to work on grants. And even before the pandemic, we started to see that switch with not only challenges like childcare, housing, all those hot button topics, where now we're going as cross-functional groups. So when I go to meet with the business, I'll have folks with community development with, because as as things have progressed Here, it's interesting when we're working with businesses, whether outside of the area or even looking to expand, we'll be entertaining questions such as, where can you verify all your infrastructure? And, the next question will be, what are your available childcare spots? And I know Betsy and Greg, we've been working on some of those projects, and it's great that we're, it feels really good to be doing this outreach together, and I feel like we have been ahead of the game because of this. So for some of you, this will be a review, but gonna do a little bit of IRRR 101. We've been around a long time, since 1941. With that being said, super unique in the state. I know when we talk to folks all over the state, they're like, we wish we had the funding and the horsepower and the setup that IRRR has. And a big part of that is, of course, our funding coming from our 5 taconite companies. And we get a lot of questions, of course, about our service area and, just about the boundary. And just as a refresh, it's based on school district where mining is performed. So, of course, we're here in the core range. But for those kind of in the middle, it does not serve, because everyone always kind of asks, like, what about the middle? Like, we're kind of the McGregor, that area is, so there is a little bit of gap. And then, Crosby, Aiken is within our service area. We, newer to the agency, about, I think, 4 years now, we have a tribal liaison named Billy Isham, it's been really great to have her. We have 4 of the state's 11 tribal nations are located within our service area, and we continue to work closely with them on direct projects and also within, also doing consultation. So again, instead of our mining companies paying property tax, a portion of those dollars come to us at the agency. And we are not general funded. And so again, very unique, especially when we're trying to explain to folks not familiar with us. And another thing that's also unique is, of course, we don't serve, we only serve a portion of the state, but of course, our commissioner, Ida Rukavina, who again sends her regards for not being able to attend today, but she will be at the groundbreaking in town that we have upcoming for the AMGS building, which we're really excited and looking forward to. So 3 legs of the stool at the agency: business, community, workforce development. We have Roy Smith, also a Hibbing person who works for us, part-time for us, part-time for the college system, and super fortunate to have his, the programs that fall under him, especially when we're able to, come to companies and instead of us saying you need to fit into this box or that box, but, ask them, what do you need? And as part of the package, have it be, custom tailored to them, especially when talent is such a hot button issue when we're, again, not only working with existing businesses, but also, trying to bring folks in from out of the area. So this is Whitney's portion. So I'm gonna, like I said, she'll be coming in at any second, but I'm gonna flip through to slide 21, which is my portion. So this is what I was talking about, how there's been this merge, kind of this, where things were siloed before, working together. But now we'll talk about business development. And again, within the city of Hibbing, you have some fantastic existing manufacturers that have seen some really tremendous growth. And I think what's super unique too in Hibbing, I know you have a lot that do serve the mining supply chain, but even when the mines do dip, they've done a great job of diversifying, whether it's both your precision manufacturers that are serving the aviation industry or other facets. It's really exciting that you have both, folks. You have a lot of folks that know how to use their hands, and people drive past their facilities all the time, and they're shipping parts to all over the world. Being the business recruiter, obviously, I could talk about business recruitment all day, and that's another reason why I'm wanting to get out more too. And the commissioner is wanting me to get out more, where of course we talk to a lot of different businesses all the time that kind of follow the 3 T's: taconite, timber, transportation. We've been focusing a lot on the 4th T, which is technology. And we have a lot of folks that are site selecting in our area all the time. And we've been kind of trying to meet in the middle, where in the past we would be courting a lot of companies, and we'd bring them to town and say like, hey, here's city-owned property, the diligence hasn't been done yet and the infrastructure isn't there, but we'll, if interested, we'll get it done. But you as a city and an EDA has been fantastic in making sure to kind of plug away on all the things, all the survey work, and in addition to getting your borings done and wetlands delineations and all the things where we really weren't in the game without having that done. So again, compliments to your team, because we've been able to move really fast on projects because of that, and wouldn't have landed projects because of that, working together. So this is just kind of shows the process that it takes to, when companies, especially ones outside of the area, are like I said, we have quite a few folks, especially in Hibbing, that we kind of call our repeat offenders that utilize our programs all the time, that we love. And I think those are our favorite stories, those that we get off the ground, whether it's a startup or otherwise, get them in a building. I think of, AMGS or other folks where we get them in a building with an attractive lease rate, get them cash flowing. So a couple years down the road, they can start, they can expand again, add on, maybe it's 10,000 square feet, and then and more jobs, and another couple years down the road, add maybe 20,000 square feet. So again, we really enjoy working with your team, and it's hard. These projects are really complicated and not always straightforward, but because of our relationships and with your city and team and ability to roll up our sleeves and get work done, we're super thankful. So 3 types on the business side, 3 types of loan: our bank participation loan, our direct, and our loan guarantee. Our most popular program is that bank participation loan, where we work with a bank, where it's, for example, $1 million for equipment. Then we would take half that, so $500,000 at, right now, I think our rate is around 1.5%. It follows the treasury. And so especially now when bank rates are pretty high, that really helps keep that rate down. And our loans can only be used for fixed assets, so building and equipment. They can't be used for working capital. And we can't help retail businesses direct, but Whit will talk in her presentation about how we can use other programs such as BRR and Accelerate Grant through SBDC and others that, again, Betsy is an expert on, and on the applications. So again, some of the criteria we use, a lot of projects, the biggest challenge is folks not having enough capital of their own capital to get the project off the ground. Our typical project is a third IRRB and or other lending institution, a third deed and IRRB incentives, and a third equity. But for those that can meet that, we have great success in getting those off the ground. We talked about bank participation loan. We do have direct loans as well. So again, same criteria that we use to evaluate. This minimum interest for this is about I think it's between 3.5% right now at the agency, but same thing, really attractive rate, especially for those who are looking for a direct loan. And then one of my favorite programs that we have, and this one can be used for retail. We have a loan guarantee program. So for example, our maximum amount is $75,000. So if a company, again, of any type, doesn't need to be a manufacturer, needs a loan of $100,000, they could apply for a guarantee, and we'd be able to back 75% of that. And the company loves this because then they don't require as big of a down payment. And then, of course, the bank loves it to have that guarantee. So we talked about the site-ready portion already. Like I said, you are experts on this at this city. I'm gonna go back now for Whitney's portion. And I know, like I said, it's a lot, but again, you being the experts, I think it'll go well. So again, our Director of Community Development, Whitney Ridlon, is here.
Hi, everyone. Sorry for being a little tardy today, but happy to have Janelle take over. I just wanted to talk through at a high level. Oh. Okay. Talk at a high level how the agency supports communities and businesses through our grants programs. So the first grant program is our housing grant program. I'm not going to get into the specifics on the slides. The slides kind of go high level over the program guidelines, the purpose, the eligible applicants, and the eligible projects. I'm just going to quickly go through every grant program. So the housing grant program was new to the agency last year. It can pay for the costs for the new construction of housing, or for the rehab of existing housing units, or for a program like a local housing trust fund. So we could match funding. I know that the city of Hibbing's been just exploring that. So I want to make sure that you know that that's a resource you can tap for that or for projects. The next program is our Public Works Grant. This was formerly Community and Development Infrastructure. It's now integrated into one grant program that can support public infrastructure, publicly owned buildings, so anything, we've seen it support anything from a new public safety building to traditional street sewer infrastructure projects to a larger regionally significant park or campground. Oh, wrong way. The next program is the Broadband Infrastructure Grant Program. This is funded at $1 million this year, and this is primarily for areas that are unserved and underserved by broadband. The agency often is part of the local match to leverage other state or federal resources that are coming to the state and the region for broadband. However, we have been able to do smaller pockets where the agency engages with St. Louis County and a partner and maybe the city to do a smaller pocket to get an area served by broadband. Oh, I'm gonna do that every time. Residential Redevelopment Grant Program. This is a program that I know the city of Hibbing uses quite frequently. This is the program that demos blighted homes. This year we're exploring and piloting the use of this program for the deconstruction of homes. So that's not tearing the home down and sending all the stuff to the landfill. It's deconstructing the home and reusing those for other purposes. So we're just kind of exploring what that looks like, and have expanded the scope of that program this year. Our Culture and Tourism Grant Program, Hibbing Pickleball Courts, Greenhaven Playground. This program has supported many recreational improvements across the city of Hibbing. This program is currently accepting applications for any kind of those arts, culture, tourism type projects in the community. Nonprofits are eligible to apply, and new a few years ago, cities became eligible to apply for this program also, when previously they were not. Regional Trails Grant. This program offsets the cost of expanding trails from cross-country ski trails all the way to snowmobile trails and the 30 plus other kind of trails that exist out there. Mineland Reclamation Grant. This is funding that was able to support the mine view improvements that are taking place. This grant program is for areas that are doing projects for mineland reclamation, whether it be replanting trees to rescape the landscape, or for like recreational improvements or tourism things like the mine view. An example would be the Buell Frisbee Golf Course was funded via this program, or Lake Orbegon Beach in Hibbing, or in Gilbert. Another way we support communities is through technical assistance. So planning grants, the city of Grand Rapids utilized this program for a downtown revitalization plan. We have grant writing assistance. The city of Hibbing's utilized that to offset costs to go after a DNR parks grant. We can do site readiness for business development, as Janelle said, but also for housing development sites. We've worked with the Hibbing EDA on an EDA partnership around support for local businesses. The EDA is able to create a local program to respond to local needs as they see fit, and the agency is able to provide matching funding and other downtown revitalization efforts. We support businesses through technical assistance. The agency supports the Northland SBDC to have a person based on the Iron Range. Their office is in Duluth, so this is how we're able to get that technical assistance closer to the businesses that need it up in rural Northeast Minnesota. We also have a variety of programs that support businesses through grants. Commercial redevelopment grant, this is interior demolition. So we've seen Sammy's Pizza, Mirror Salon, some of those kind of projects in Hibbing utilize this for their downtown revitalization efforts, but we can also, we can totally demolish a full building to make way for new development too, and the cleanup of brownfields. These two programs are really good to know about, the business energy retrofit and the downtown building rehab. These programs are available directly to businesses and nonprofits. They apply to AEOA, and they're able to receive funding to offset energy retrofits and code compliance upgrades in their existing buildings. AEOA administers these directly with the businesses. The agency funds the program, and currently we accept applications year-round, so we can gauge demand, so we know how to budget for it. We just went through the first cycle, and there'll be a second cycle for this program later this fall. So if you know a business that's looking at a rehab project, definitely point them in this direction. We have a new program that we haven't been able to dig into too much, but the purpose of this program is for new infill construction in downtowns. This is a pilot program, and we're definitely open to feedback and working alongside communities that have potential projects to see how we can further develop this program and make sure that it's useful for communities. Oh, wrong way again. All right, so Janelle, I don't know if you talked about the integration at all.
Yep, I did, and again, we want to help, so please continue to reach out. And I mean, some of our new programs were literally developed because of unique needs in Hibbing, and so we really value working with you and team, and look forward to another exciting upcoming, and we have a lot going on this fall already, and just appreciate you having us.
And we're happy to come back and do a deeper dive in any program or sit down and go through all the programs in more detail. We're just trying to really get out to the communities where they're at.
Thank you both for your
Thank you.
presentation. I do have a quick question. On slide number 11, you talked about reconstructing, tearing down, and reusing the materials. So does it go into salvage? Do you sell these materials off? How does somebody go about that, or what are they going to do with these materials that you're wanting to reuse?
So often you'll see like Habitat has a reuse store, or these reuse stores are kind of popping up. I know there's an entity looking at developing one in Virginia. So it's kind of just wanting to be there to start testing the waters, and that's an excellent question that I'll definitely we'll dig into a little more.
Okay, good. Thank you. That's all I have.
Question, trail grants, the diversity, I think you mentioned snowmobiles, cross trail bikes, and you said it's like 30 some other. What determines if we wanted just to enhance, I'll use Mines and Pines, which we just had. It's nice, but if there was more trails within our park system, so your activities could be right off those additional trails, would that fall under your trails grant?
Yes, sir. There's been examples where we've supported local park improvements, the trails that go around the lakes in Virginia, or there's a local trail in Eveleth we were able to support. So yes, eligible. The Trails program was funded at a smaller amount this year, but we always encourage, to have your staff reach out if you have something in queue so we can budget appropriately the next year.
Thank you. And trails for accessibility is just such a huge component. All right, thank you.
I got one here for you. I'll go back to the residential redevelopment grant you have here. So that would be run through a city, the city would accept the applicants, So would it have to be something that the municipality owns, or can be owned by private owners and they go to the city? Or, and then who does the work? Is that something, around here, the city crews do a lot of the demolition and things? Is there anything more you can enlighten us on that?
There's a mix. The city does apply, and the properties have to be blighted, or oftentimes they're tax forfeit properties that we're trying to get back into private ownership, or demolishing a blighted structure that the parcel then goes on to Habitat for Humanity or something like that. But there are situations where we've been able to take down blighted property on private properties. But you work through the city to bring the application forward. And oftentimes they'll come in bundles, like the city of Hibbing will identify 5 different parcels and they'll apply in a package for funding for all 5. And some of our communities have local construction crews or city construction crews that do the work, and some use private businesses. So it all depends.
Because it is quite a bit of work to reclaim a lot of that stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
And so for folks in Hibbing who might be watching this, Pat Green is our building official and handles the, and Tina Glad from our building and housing office handle the intake on that, and work with either the private owners or the county or Habitat, somebody, whoever is looking at that property, getting that structure demolished, that sort of thing. If there's costs over and above what the grant provides for, then either the private individual or whoever the owner is of that property will pay the over and above, for that cost. So some we do with city crews and some we do with private contractors. It just depends on who has availability.
Thank you.
Yes.
Any other questions? Go ahead.
Excellent. Well, thank you, ladies. Really appreciate the time and attendance tonight at our meeting. And obviously, I know about all of your programs and all the good projects we have coming, and really work with this board to overlap them to make sure that we're doing the best, job for our taxpayer and stewarding those dollars, both the ones that you steward and the ones that we steward. So it's always a collaborative effort to make projects go forward. So really appreciate you coming and talking tonight to our board. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, so to stay on task for our meeting tonight, because we do have 3 counselors that need to leave here at 5:45 to get to the next meeting. I have Rich Lee's here tonight in the council chambers. If you'd approach, he has both a loan request for the depot that the finance committee has reviewed, and then he has submitted his plans for the footings for the chopsticks factory, that whole area that he's working to develop. So I will let him talk briefly about both, and then if you have questions for him, we can go through those.
Good evening, everyone.
Thank you for coming, Rich.
Thank you, Betsy. I guess we can start with the chopsticks, where that's at. We've had the preliminary drawings for the footings to reuse those existing footings that are there, which is the reason we bought the land, on the backside of that property from the city. We do not have, a tenant yet for that proposed building. I'm negotiating with one in particular that might be interested in half of what I'm looking at building, but until I, actually sign them, I won't be able to, start the actual building process, but it's looking promising anyway. Is there any questions on that before I dive into another one?
Rich, so you plan on doing is taking existing footings, which were originally designed for the Michelinas.
Yeah.
And you're gonna just use those same footings for a new structure?
That's the plan at this point, is we're gonna build a warehouse. It was designed to, for a loading dock type
Yep.
warehouse, whether it was Michelinas or, whoever. It's about 155,000 square feet when it's done.
Right.
So it's a big undertaking, but all the infrastructure and everything is already there, and it's a mile ahead of
Yeah.
any other project that's even close to that. But again, until I just caution, we definitely want to build it, but I got to have a revenue source to back it up, and until I land that first tenant, I can't officially pull the trigger on that part of the buildings.
That original foundation, I remember when it was put in, I think it was a metal building that was going up.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't Nicolina's is what it was, which is still a great product, it's just not produced in Hibbing.
Right, yeah.
So you're looking at, I would assume you'll have to have those either evaluated or re-engineered, or what will you have to have done to be able, once you decide and things work out for you with customers, or proposed customers?
Yep.
What do you think your time frame would be? You know, you said infrastructure, certain things were already in.
Yeah. So, I believe, if we, as soon as we can sign a potential client, I mean, we're shovel ready. I mean, I've got the bank financing lined up, with a signature to, along with, funds that I have earmarked, for that project. So it's not that far away, again, if I can, I gotta land a suitor for a portion of it.
Okay. Very good.
And Vice President Journess, if I may, I just wanted to make sure that you all understood, the reason I have Mr. Lees coming and talking about this tonight is when we sell property from the EDA, and Attorney Borland, correct me if I'm wrong, there is a reversionary clause in that where he has X amount of time to undertake some development activities to, demonstrate to the EDA and to the taxpayers that that process is moving forward. And so that's why we're staying on top of that schedule and making sure that we're making that progress.
What is that amount of time?
I believe it was a year to start.
Member Kivlaw, when we negotiated with Mr. Lees with regard to the property, we had negotiated to say that we considered development, if he was able to come up with the engineered drawings for the property and use this, that would be sufficient to meet the reversionary provision so that he wouldn't be under that burden going forward. And that's exactly why Betsy brought it forward, so that he'd be within that time frame. He got that part done.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. So you will see that for action on the agenda tonight. And then, Rich, if you want to, unless anybody else has questions on that? Okay, so you can talk about the depot loan request then?
Okay, yeah, so the depot is, it's kind of right by CNH, I don't know if everybody knows where that's at, kind of by CNH Muffix. It looks like an old train, it was an old train depot is what it was. We bought that about a year and a half ago. And we've got 2 potential tenants to take the space. And we're looking at, we're gonna redo the facade outside. I've got some 2-tone metal siding. It's picked out to do the main facade, and then redo the rest of it on the outside, insulate it, upgrade all the heating and air conditioning systems, and get the inside ready for the tenants. And that's where I'm at this point, is we're at that spot that we're looking to move forward with that. And I initially applied for that.
The deferred?
Yeah, the deferred, but apparently it does not meet that criteria, which is fine. So we're looking to, we're requesting a loan for a portion of the project.
Are you looking to bring that back up to the way it looked years ago, or are you just?
Well, yes and no. It's going to kind of keep its character, but kind of modernize it so that we need it to, attract, the tenants that are coming through. That it'll look similar, but it's gonna be a little bit more of a showstopper than what we got there. So
I also have to say, I can read your application. You did well on this one.
What's that?
I said I can read your application this time.
So, Mr. Lees,
As I get older, I get much better penmanship.
Yeah.
remind me, with the 2 tenants, potential tenants, how many employees will that be increasing in the workforce?
Well, I mean, there's probably 4 in each tenant. The building's, roughly 5,000 square feet, 5,500 square feet. So, office type thing, I can't divulge who they are at this moment because I don't have them officially signed, and I sign, agreements with tenants not to, because they're, they got, things of their own going on, funding and stuff like that. So they don't want to, know that they're looking at expansion or moving or so forth. So, but there are 2 for real tenants, and we wouldn't drop a couple $100,000 into something if I didn't think it was gonna happen.
Rich, is
Vice
there a time frame for starting and finishing this project?
Scissor lifts are on site, so we're ready to go. I mean, if we can, we'll do the entire project if we can get this loan approved. Otherwise, I would possibly scale back or whatever, but we're ready to go.
I have one question for you, Rich.
Yeah.
My experience with putting siding up on buildings, we have to meet certain requirements, being that building is kind of off Main Street. Does that fulfill, or does it have to meet those requirements that we've asked for the downtown buildings?
Well, I know the downtown Howard and First Avenue have to be a masonry product, or, get a variance, I believe it's called. We had to do that once on one of ours. That is not on the Howard Street. It isn't masonry now. And I'm certain that the product that's been picked out is going to be, satisfactory.
Well, I'm sure it will. I just,
Yeah.
had the question, so.
Yeah, it doesn't, it does not, it's not required on that block. Okay. That was part of it, which, Howard Street and First Avenue, they're all brick buildings, understandable.
Vice President Jarinas, if I may. And to that point, that's one of the reasons that when the Finance Committee reviewed this, the deferred loan product did not pertain to this particular project because it's not on the Howard Street and First Avenue corridor that was studied during that particular project. And since it's off of the Howard Street corridor and not adjacent to the buildings in the historic district, then he can, do the renovations with the regular loan and, to his specifications instead of within the requirements of a historic district.
So I would just like to add to that, and thank you, Betsy, for presenting to Mr. Lees the better loan application that meets what he's wanting to do here. So that's good, the intended use.
It is a unique building, no doubt about that.
Yeah.
And I know it's gone quite a few years without any type of upgrades.
It needs resuscitators on it. It's,
Yeah.
it's in pretty rough shape inside and out, so, but we'll bring it back to life for sure.
Anybody else?
Oh, that was all my presentations for tonight.
Good.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Rich.
Yep, you bet.
Thanks, Rich.
You bet.
Okay, what is next? Okay. Oh, Betsy again, Community Development Director, go right ahead.
We should be right at board reports with Finance Director, Ms. Mulner.
Oh, that's where, okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Good evening, Vice President Jarinas and members of the board. For item A, I have a Heda loans update. I handed out an updated schedule for you for review as we go through the loan schedules. Starting up at the top, a few notes I just wanted to make is I have not heard anything back from RCB yet on the judgments that were sent over to them. I think that was back in May. If I don't hear from them pretty soon, I'll reach out to them and see if they have any updates. Moxie, as you know, she had sent a letter that she is going out of business. She is paid through July. I have not seen any payments yet for August. We have sent an email, but we have not received a response yet, so we'll continue to try to follow up with her on that. More towards the bottom, in red, Iron Range Management, they had an additional draw for the Castle Apartments of $6,600, which now brings their amount up to $81,182.09. Iron Range Restaurants hasn't had any additional draws. They're sitting at $76,093.50. The last draw from the Red Rock Hotel was on July 17th, and he hasn't had any new requests since then. He still has a balance, quite a significant balance left to get him up to the $500,000 that we have approved between our 250 and the IRRB's 250. Heartwood Center, they're still working through the phase 2 environmental. They had reached out and said they were expecting that to come back very soon. They were expecting to close sometime in August on that building. So I have not heard yet on an actual closing date, but I will keep you posted when that one actually closes on the real estate. And then if you flip it over to the back side, the two loans that we have in Fund 420, those ones are up to date and current. And then in our deferred loan program, since our last meeting, Benders has done the roof on their building, and they drew the full $30,000 on that. I saw Rudy's Pizza has began their parking lot project. I have not gone through loan documents with them yet, but I'm sure that now that they've started that project, I'll reach out and find out if they're looking to go through the loan documents and get the funds for the deferred loan program for that parking lot project. To summarize at the bottom, the funds cash balances as of August 19 of today are just under $1.5 million total between the three funds. We do have about $400,000 that have been approved, but they haven't drawn the funds. And so we're sitting at just under $1.1 million in the three funds to lend out. And I can answer any questions if you need.
Nobody has any questions? Looks good. Looks good? Thank you. Thank you. Now, Betsy, it's your turn.
Did you talk through the repayment?
I have not yet. I think I have one more item B,
Oh, okay.
if I may. So item B is back in August of 2023, there was a resolution to approve an interfund loan that came from the revolving fund 250 to our fund 610, which is where we have the old Vidovik building that's now rented out by AMGS. We've also been running expenditures for some of the planning for this new project where we're building the new AMGS building through that fund. There really weren't any payback provisions in the resolution of how that loan would be paid back to the revolving fund. So I guess this is just me requesting to get those payback provisions in place. When there's some net rent revenue in that fund to pay back the loan, then it would go back to Fund 250 to lend out to potential businesses that need funds. So I would have my staff on a quarterly basis review any net rent revenue over expenditures and then pay back that fund on the loan. So I'm just requesting the board to approve paying back the $500,000 interfund loan that's due to Fund 250 on a quarterly basis with any net rent revenue that's in Fund 610.
So it's just a money exchange.
Yep, it's just paying back a loan that the fund already lent.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
We need a motion for
I'll
that?
make a motion.
I'll second it.
Motion made by member Heda to approve paying back $500,000 interfund loan due to Fund 250 on a regular quarter basis with not a net rent revenue in Fund 610, seconded by Mr. Kivila. Any discussion?
Member Drainus, I think. I want to make sure that we pay back the interfund loan prior to paying back the IRRR loan. Because this was lent to do the expansion project, which they are now funding from a different pot of money. And those net rents, I want to make sure that we're clear about paying, back the interfund loan prior to sending the funds outside of the city of Hibbing.
Okay. Everybody understand that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Any discussion other than that?
Do they have to modify their,
Do they have to modify their motion?
do they have to modify the motion to make sure that they pay the interfund prior to IRRR?
I don't think they have to, because in fact, they're just giving a directive that they are going to pay back the loan on a quarterly basis.
Okay, okay.
All right, I'll stand pat with my motion.
Okay.
Perfect.
I'm holding firm.
Any discussion other than that then? Nothing? Hearing none? All approved? Or all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
I will
Now
now
it's
take
your
it.
turn.
Vice President Drainus, thank you very
I'm
much.
trying to get done with this meeting so nobody's late, so it's,
Must be the,
How many plates you got?
Oh, he's been here a while, though. He's been here a while. This is a good job.
Okay.
Betsy, go ahead.
Excellent. So first item is to consider the loan request from Mr. Lees for the depot building. You will see in your loan write-up that's in your packet that the eligibility is within the revolving loan fund. Priority number one, investment in commercial and industrial building renovations, primarily in the downtown area, to physically enhance or improve the exterior or interior appearance of their structure, improve the energy efficiency conforming to all city codes, and investing in our community. All work will conform to the codes and policies for building permits and other requirements, including the use of licensed insured contractors. Excuse me. Overall economic benefits is it will make improvements to a building near the downtown corridor to enhance its lifespan and ensure energy efficiencies. The borrower has secured necessary funding in place for this project from their own equity, and the longevity of the business proves that the partners have the financial acumen to ensure the viability of the business long-term. The borrower has other loans with the EDA and is current with all payments. And additionally, there is room on the current life insurance policy for the additional funds to be drawn. Remember, in our loan fund, our revolving loan fund policies right now, a loan of significant size, which, as this board has defined, is over $250,000, requires that life insurance policy, and we have done that with 3 different loans now at this time. The borrower is the current owner of this location, well suited to see this project through to completion. They have offered a junior position on the real estate, and we recommend 3% for 10 years, fully amortized from the beginning of the loan term. Listed as an additional insured, ACH payment required, which Mr. Lees has set up on his other projects already, and the personal guarantee life insurance policy for the amount which he's already done, and then contingent on the other lenders approving the junior position.
I'd like to make a motion to approve.
I'll second that.
Okay. Motion made by Member Egan, seconded by Member Kivela. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried.
Excellent. Item B is to receive and file the foundation drawings from Mr. Lees to demonstrate progress towards development on the property purchased from the EDA up in our North Hibbing location.
Wishes of the board?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Motion made by Mayor Hayduk, seconded by Member Egan. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried.
All right, thank you. Item C is to authorize staff, myself, to negotiate with JT Ventures to purchase the property at 1111 7th Avenue East, Hibbing, Minnesota 55746, when AMGS vacates in the summer of 2025. This particular project is our Vidovik building. JT Ventures is the company that owns Yoder Building Supply Company. They have been up to the building, looked at it, done some due diligence around it, and are interested in purchasing. You will see in your packet that the city council has signed a development agreement to move forward with JT Ventures on a project like this. The city council had a prior development agreement with them for a different property. They requested rescinding the initial development agreement and a switch to this property. Therefore, the city council had to refer the potential purchase of this building over to the EDA because the EDA owns the building, not the city outright. So that is the item before you tonight for when AMGS vacates in 2025.
Wishes of the board?
Mr. President, I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second that.
Motion made by Member Jennifer Hoffman-Sockman, seconded by Mayor Hayduk. Any discussion?
I just got a question on that.
Yes, sir.
So as far as the negotiation part of the building, we know what the building's like. It's gonna be like an as-is sale, or how's it gonna play out that way?
Member Schreiberger, our closed session tonight is to talk about what that negotiation could look like. Because you have to both authorize me to negotiate and then tell me what your parameters are.
All right.
Okay.
That's correct, Andy, correct? I did the, yeah, okay.
Any other discussion?
So, that just seems kind of backwards to me, I guess. Not knowing what we're giving, like giving you the negotiation part of it. Now we're saying you can negotiate, but then we're gonna talk about afterwards. So is there some kind of stipulation that gonna go with giving you the okay to do the negotiation?
The closed session, you will give me the parameters that I'm allowed to negotiate. When you negotiate for purchase or sale of property, those negotiations can remain private until the sale or the purchase agreement is signed. So that's between you, me, and the potential buyer. But I do not have authority to negotiate with a potential buyer unless you agree to allow me to enter those negotiations. So you will set parameters in closed session so that those are private, but the authorization to potentially sell this property is public so that folks are aware that that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
Okay. I had to go through this with Andy, so I asked him the exact same question, Commissioner Schreiber, so.
Wishes of the board.
You have a
think we
motion
already
and a
did.
second.
Oh, we have a motion, we're all set. So hearing none, all approved?
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, motion passed.
Okay, so item D is to approve the resolution in your packet designating $150,000 of unrestricted Heda funds from the 255 fund balance into a local housing trust fund. This local housing trust fund was created with ordinance in February of 2024 from the City Council and referred to the EDA for facilitation. We do have roughly $600,000 in that balance. Correct me if I'm wrong, Sheena.
That's right.
To allocate to a project like this. This $150,000 will allow us to go after state matching funds and additional, as you heard tonight, the IRRR potential matching funds and others to put into a local housing trust fund to get projects started and moving.
What would the local, how do you get a hold of those monies? Is it for private individuals? Is it, what's the parameters?
So we're working on the process and policy. Right now, the Finance Committee has been authorized by this board to work on that process and policy with Sheena Mullner and myself. The three entities that we have been considering are AEOA's rehab program, the Habitat for Humanities program, and then the third one is the Hibbing HRA. So all of the funds that were returned to the TIF and have been allocated to the Hibbing HRA's project have been parked into that housing trust fund at this time to await their project. So this will be a way that we as the EDA do not have to be as informed about how local, the low and moderate income requirements and all of those sorts of things. We will rely on the entities that are expert in that avenue to bring us good projects, bring us their reporting, and then we can utilize their information back to the state when we report back.
Remind me, Betsy, can we take money from the local housing trust fund and put it back into Fund 255 if we ever needed to?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
As we understand it, this fund is just a jurisdictionally created fund for that the ordinance created. And so if at some point, those funds are needed for some other economic development project, yes, that could be done. At this time, those funds have been sitting there for several years. So it's time to start getting them working out in the community, and housing projects are one way we can do that.
And I assume that would be done by another resolution, is that correct? Would that be the paper trail on that,
At
Yes.
that point in time.
at that point? in time?
Sorry, Betsy.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, at that point in time, that's correct.
Well,
I
I'm okay with
I got a question, follow up with your, Kathy's question. Is this money that we're giving to the local housing trust fund, it will be paid back over a period of time, is that correct?
No,
I mean,
the
is it a
local-
grant or a fund? Is there going to be interest on it? How does it work?
So the Local Housing Trust Fund is a fund that the EDA oversees. It's our funds.
Okay,
And so therefore, you will approve the projects that those funds go out to. You will approve them per project, whether it's a grant or a loan. And so each project will come before you to say, we would like to use a portion of that funding for our housing project. You will consider those projects and determine how you'd like to spend those funds. It's the same as our revolving loan fund, and how you administer that. So you will choose as you go forward project by project. And that policy work is undergoing right now, and you will see that before you spend $1 out of there. The policy will be approved at that point.
I'll make a motion to approve it after clarification there.
Board.
Motion to approve made by member Jennifer Hoffman Sockman, support by member Schweiberger. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Excellent. Item E is to approve the resolution for Minnesota Department of Employment and Economic Development 21st Century Mineral Funds for the AMGS expansion project. You probably will note that we approved the loan application back in June for this particular fund. They would like it in a resolution instead of just approving the application. I went down there and met with them. They sent me back some resolution language, which is in your packet tonight. So it's just restating it as a resolution instead of approving a application.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Motion made by Mayor Hyduk, seconded by Member Egan. Any other discussion?
The one question I had, this is for the 4.5 million?
Yes. And the $300,000 grant.
Okay, very good.
Any other discussion? Hearing none? All approved?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And finally, the item you've all been waiting for, F, is to approve the pre-development agreement with Merge LLC for the 400 block redevelopment project. The full pre-development agreement, including the description of the project and the description of the property, is in your packet. And how much of this would you like me to go through here?
You want to do a
5 minutes worth?
Full session, you got about maybe 5
Yeah,
minutes.
exactly. Okay, perfect. So this development agreement is between, or pre-development agreement is between us and a potential developer. It is a non-binding agreement at this stage, but it allows us to start negotiating around the potential for making a project happen on the 400 block to replace the current buildings that are there. You will remember that we just recently applied for deed funds to demolish the current property that's there, the 408 through 416. And this would start the conversation to build something back in that location. I have been talking to this developer for a little while now, this summer, and they've sent me some preliminary financials that show the project is not quite penciling out at this point, so we're gonna have to do some work, which is why we sign a pre-development agreement to start that work. We have already looked at the potential for a tax increment financing district on this particular property. That would come into play as part of this project. The IRRR presented tonight about their infill in downtowns and new construction, that would come into play. And also the IRRR's housing fund would also come into play. All of those items will be needed to put together a really good package to ensure that this project could happen. You'll notice that the project is several floors. It looks like about 54 units of housing above a first floor commercial space, which is in keeping with our current zoning in the downtown. You'll notice the drawing has gray brick on it, but that doesn't mean that that's exactly what it would look like as the look and feel for the final structure. It will be in keeping because this is a historic downtown, and the developer's well aware that it would need to be in keeping with the historic nature of our downtown. So at this time, I'd ask if you would approve entering into this pre-development agreement to start that work.
I'll make a motion to enter in a pre-development agreement.
Support.
Motion made by Mayor Hyduk, seconded by Member Hoffman Sockman. Any discussion?
Would this keep you from negotiating with anybody else?
No.
Okay.
It will until we back away from a purchase agreement, but a purchase agreement, I believe we have it in here that it would be signed by the end of this year, so, or the next stage would be signed by the end of this year, and that's to be in keeping with the potential of securing funding from deed. So at this stage, we'll work through a process. If that doesn't bear any fruit, then we'll move on to the next. And we've been talking about the requirement for a new developer to come on that property for a little while now. So we're excited to see somebody come forward and work with us.
Is there any other discussion, questions, anything? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Betsy. Any more?
So tonight at this time, I would ask that you make the motion to go into closed session and then a motion for adjournment because we will not be coming back after that, so.
I'll make a motion to go into closed session.
Second?
Motion made by Mayor Hyduk, seconded by Member Mike Egan. Any discussion? Andy?
Just for and clarification, Vice President Drainus, so the closed session is to discuss the potential purchase of a parcel code 140, 0270-00337. That's the reason why you're going into closed session to discuss that potential sale of that property. Thank you.
And Betsy said that we're not coming back in, so does that mean we're not having a working session?
You are having a working session. It's the end of the regular meeting,
Oh,
is what
gotcha.
you're
Yeah,
adjourned.
okay.
Sorry.
Perfect.
We have a motion, we have a second. Meeting adjourned.